Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this little motif here. Let's go ahead and give a quick measurement. So it measures about 8 inches across there, as you can see. And I do mention, I think at the end of the video, some cool things I think would be really pretty. If you made some type of lacy wrap or even a blanket or something like that, if you made a bunch of these and you could attach them, make like if you made another one, you could attach them by like slip stitching the picots of the other one, like to a picot here and to a picot here, you know, like that. Just to, you can make a wrap like that, blanket like that. That'd be so super cool. You could use like small thread and make a small doily. Maybe even smaller thread and make earrings. Just anything, you know, that you'd like to do with it. Use bigger thread and make a bigger doily. Whatever you want to do. Or bigger yarn and make a bigger doily. But yeah, as it sets, it's 8 inches for you to use your imagination and your creativity to turn it into something beautiful, which I know that everybody that makes this will do. And it isn't hard at all. It's mainly single crochet and chain spaces. And then we have some picots, which are super simple to do. And I'll teach you how to do those. So isn't it pretty? There's the back. It's gorgeous. All right. So that hole is supposed to be kind of there in the center. So I love it. All right. I'm going to set it to the side. So for this particular project, I lost the label, but this is from Ice Yarns. It is their Picasso Rainbow. They have a couple different rainbows, and their yarn is all numbered. I know this rainbow is the one that the number on it ends in a 6. All right. It's usually out of stock, but sometimes you can find it. But what it is a 4-weight. It's a light 4-weight, but a 4-weight acrylic blend yarn. You can use any, like I said, any yarn you want, any weight that you want, any color that you want. You make this whatever you want it to be, and any size of yarn that you want. Like I said, use thread if you want, or use a 7 bulky weight, or super bulky if you want. Whatever you want. You do however you like. And then for this particular yarn though, which is a 4-weight or a light 4, I use a size H, which is a 5mm crochet hook. Don't usually use hooks much smaller. Hooks this small too often, I guess, but sometimes. And if you're going to use a different yarn other than like a 4-weight, I would just go by what it says maybe on the label. You know, just whatever you think. Maybe, you know, it doesn't matter. I think I might have used a hook size smaller than what actually this said on the label. I don't know where the label went, but you can use your best judgment. It doesn't really matter, you know. 4-weight, you know, use an H. 3-weight, go down a hook size. You're going to use a 5-weight, go up a hook size. Whatever you use, whatever yarn, whatever hook, it's going to turn out magnificently beautiful, and I cannot wait to see what you make with it. Let's do it. Let's get started. All right, so we're going to start out with a slip knot on our hook, like this, and we are going to work a chain of 8. Now, if you get your chain of 8, what we want to do is slip stitch into the first stitch to form a ring, and this will be our magic circle. It'll be where we work into here. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to start off with a chain of 1. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. All right, and we are going to work 24 single crochets through the centers of our ring. So we're going to go in and we're going to start working single crochets through the center of the ring. Go right through just the ring, draw up. There's 2. Now remember that chain 1 doesn't count, so 3. Here's 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to continue around. You might have to slide them over as you go along. And I'll meet back up with you once I get 24 in my ring. Alright, so I have made it back around here after my 24 single crochets, and I want to end by slip stitching into my first one. So make sure we don't go into that chain one, but we go into the first single crochet. So we should have 24 stitches now at the end of row 1, and we're going to start row 2. Now row 2 is going to be a repeat of row 1. We're just going to chain 1. We're going to go back into that same stitch there that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to do a single crochet, and we're going to work around, and we're just going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch. So we're just working 24 single crochets again, 1 single crochet in every stitch that we made on the previous row. So this is row 2. So 1 single in every stitch until you make it back around to our starting point, and you still should have 24 single crochets when you make it back around. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of row 2, and you still should have 24 stitches. So we're going to end again by slip stitching into our first single crochet, and we're going to go ahead and begin round 3. So we are going to start off with a chain 1, and that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we're going to go back and do a single crochet into this very first stitch. So we single crochet right back into that very first stitch, and then we're going to jump to the next stitch, and we're going to do a single crochet. Now with this single crochet, we're going to work a picot on top of it. So what we're going to do now is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to come back down, and we're going to grab that front loop there and this side loop there of the single crochet, and we're going to slip stitch. And what that's going to do is make the picot, or it makes a little ball on top of the stitch. Decorative, just like that. And we're going to start the repeat now of row 3. Is we're going to do a single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 single crochet, and the next one 1 single crochet, and now we're going to do a picot on top of this stitch that we just did. So we're going to chain 3 again, and when we come back down, we go through this 1 loop on top here, and this loop kind of here on the side of the stitch, and slip stitch, and that makes your picot, just like that. Again, we're going to repeat that again, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 and there's 2, and this is the stitch that we're going to do the picot. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then come back down, and you can see the top of the stitch here. We go through that 1 loop there, and then this 1 loop here on the side of that same stitch, and slip stitch. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around for row 3. 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. There's 1, there's 2, and that second one is where we do the picot. So we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, come back down and grab that 1 loop on the top, 1 loop on the side, and slip stitch to do the picot. And we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern of 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then the picot on that one. 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and the picot goes on that one, all the way around until we make it back around to our starting point. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of round 3, and I just did a picot here, and I'm at my starting point. Here's the first single crochet I did. We want to slip stitch into that. We don't go into the chain 1, remember, we go into that very first single crochet that we made. Pull it tight because it's a little bit of a jump over there. and that will end row 3. All right, so for round 4, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a chain. We're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So what that chain 8 is acting as, it is acting as a triple crochet plus a chain 4. So chain 4 chains of it's a triple crochet, and the other 4 chains is just a chain 4. So what we're going to do now is we are going to do a triple crochet in the single crochet between the next 2 picots, the one that we didn't put a picot in. So right there, we're going to triple crochet into it. So we're going to yarn over twice and go into that single crochet that we didn't put a picot on and do a triple crochet. Like that. And then we're going to start our repeat. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to do a triple crochet again in between the next 2 picots. The single crochet that we didn't picot into. Let's triple crochet into that. So yarn over twice. Go into that single crochet and triple crochet. That. And this is what we're going to do all the way around. So again, let's chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go over here to the in between the next 2 set of picots, and in that single crochet right here that we didn't put a picot on, we're going to do a triple crochet in it. So you yarn over twice, go into that single, and work a triple crochet. Just like that. So we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around, triple crocheting, and then chain 4, and then do another triple crochet in between the next set of picots in that single crochet that we didn't work in before, and we chain 4 and repeat all the way around. And I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 4, and I'll show you how we close it off. All right, I'm coming to the end of round 4 here. So I just did my last triple crochet. So I'm going to do a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I want to end by slip stitching, and remember our beginning chain 8 in the 4th chain of that chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in that 4th chain, we're just going to do a slip stitch. That'll end round 4, and you should have 12 of these chain spaces now. Looking pretty. All right, let's begin round 5. We're going to slip stitch 1 time over here to our first chain space, okay? Slip stitch into it, and then we're going to chain 1. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. What we're going to do now is we are going to work 8 single crochets in each one of these chained spaces. So we're going to go ahead and start off. Remember that chain 1 doesn't count, and we're going to start, and we're just going to go through the chain space and work 8 singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you need to slide them over a bit, that's fine. 6, 7, and there's 8. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to jump right over to the next chain space, ignoring this triple crochet here, and working 8 single crochets into this space. Again, jump over to the next one, 8 single crochets. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around of 8 singles in each of these chain spaces until we make it back around here to our starting point. All right, so I have come to the end of round 5, and I got my 8 single crochets in each of my spaces. And we're going to end by putting a slip stitch into the first single crochet here of our first chain space. Now in round 5, and we're going to start round 6. We're going to start round 6, and we are going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. We're going to go right back into that same first single crochet there that we just slip stitched into, and we're going to single crochet into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these first 8 single crochets that we made here in this first chain space. So that was number 1. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's 8. Now we are going to start the repeat, and we are going to do a chain of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we are going to skip the next 8 single crochets that were made in this chain space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to single crochet in 1 single crochet in the 8 single crochets of the next chain space. So we chained 8. We're skipping the 8 that we put in this chain space, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in the 8 that we put in the next chain space. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there is 8. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around. Again, we're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Skip the 8 that we put into this chain space and single crochet in the 8 that we put in the next chain space. So I'd start with my 8 singles here. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet back up with you at the end of round 6, and I'll show you how we close it off. So you can see we got chain spaces of 8 in between 8 single crochets. So that's what we're doing all the way around. All right, I'll meet back up with you right here. All right, so I've come to the end of round 6. So you can see right here's where we started, and I did excuse me, I just did 8 single crochets here, and then I chained 8, and what I'm going to do is skip these 8, and I'm going to be slip stitching into the first single crochet that we made over here, the very first one, and that will end round 6. All right, so go ahead and slip stitch into that. Round 6 is ended. So what we're going to do now is we're going to slip stitch 1 time over to the next single crochet, and this is where we're going to begin. So just slip stitch 1 time. So we're not starting in that first one there. We're going to start in our second one, and we're going to do, so this is round 7. We're going to chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch. We're going to put a single crochet into the next 6 stitches. So we skipped this first one because we slip stitched over. So we're going to start by putting a single crochet into this stitch that we just now slip stitched into, and that would be number 1. And then we're going to do 6 in a row. This would be number 2, and this would be number 3, and then 4, and then 5, and 6. Well, that leaves 1 single crochet on the end. We're going to skip that, all right? We're just skipping it, kind of like we skipped the first one. We had to slip stitch it into it to end it, but we didn't put any other stitches in it. We went over to the next one and started. So we got 6 single crochets in a row. We're going to skip this last one here, and we're going to work in this chain space, and we're going to work 15 single crochets into this space. So we're just going to jump right over to it, and we begin working 15 single crochets. Slide them over if you need to. All right, here's 15 for me. So there's 15 we did into that chain space there. Now, that kind of starts the repeat. We got 15 into that chain space. Now what we're going to do is we are going to skip the first single crochet of this group of 8. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's the first one. Skip that. Go to the next one, and we do 1 single crochet in the next 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which will leave 1 single crochet left. We skip it and we do 15 single crochets into the next chain space. So this is the repeat for round 7. All right, there's 15 for me, and then again we are just going to repeat by skipping this first single crochet. Make sure you pull these stitches over a bit so you don't miss it, but we're skipping that one, very first one, and single crocheting into the next 6. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skipping the last one, and again 15 single crochets into the chain space. Then we skip the first one, single crochet in the next 6, skip the last one, and again 15 single crochets in the next chain space. So we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern all the way around until we make it back to our starting point. Alrighty, so we're coming to the end of round 7. And I just did 15 single crochets here. So we're going to go ahead and end by slip stitching into our first single crochet that we made right here, and that'll end round 7. Now we're going to start round 8, which is the final round. Okay. So what we need to do again is slip stitch over one more time so we can start in this single crochet. All right, so it's kind of like we're skipping the first one. So slip stitch over one time like that, chain 1, and we're going to go back into that very first stitch here, and we're going to single crochet, and we want to do 4 single crochets this time. So that would be 1, and there's 2, and there's 3, and 4. And now what we're going to do is we'll have 1 left here on this set to skip. So we're going to skip that, and then we're going to work in these 15 here. So this will start to repeat. We're going to work in these 15 single crochets up here. So skipping this one right here that is attached to this group here, and coming over here to the first one of the group of 15, we're going to do a single crochet into the first 3. So there's 1, 2, and there's 3. Now on this third one, we're going to do a picot, kind of like we did down here at the beginning. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go back in, and we're going to grab the front loop there of the top of the same stitch, and then that side loop, and then we are going to slip stitch there to make our picot, just like that. And again, we're going to do a single crochet into the next 3. So there's 1, 2, and there's 3. And on that third one, we will do a picot. So we chain 3 again, come back down and a slip stitch into the front loop of the top of that same stitch, and then that side loop there. And that makes the picot like that. Again, a single crochet into the next 3. There's 1, 2, and there is 3. Chain 3 because we're going to picot now on the third one. Come back down, grab that front loop, that side loop, and slip stitch like that. Again, we're going to single crochet into the next 3. 1, 2, 3. And we want a picot on that third one. So there's 1, 2, 3, like that. Come back down, grab that front loop of that single, side stitch of that single, and slip stitch like that. And again, we should have 3 stitches that remain in this group of 15. So let's go ahead and single crochet in that remaining 3 there. 1, 2, and 3. So we're not going to picot there. So that should take care of that group of 15 single crochets from the previous row. So you should have 4 picots on this set right here. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come right over here to where we have 6 stitches from the previous row. We're going to skip the first one, and so skip this one, and we're going to do a single crochet into the next 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you should have 1 stitch here left to skip of this group here of 6 from the previous row. And now we're going to work in this group of 15 again, and we're going to do the same thing that we did right here. So make sure we skip this one and we go into the first stitch of our 15 single crochets here that we did in this chain space. And we're going to single crochet into the first 3. So skip this guy. This is the first single crochet here of my 15. So there's 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to picot on that one. So chain 3, come back down and picot. So I'm just doing the same thing that I did on my last set of 15 stitches there where we just did. Single crochet into the next 3 again. Third one gets the picot. Single crochet in the next 3. Third one gets the picot. Sorry about that. Single crochet into the next 3 again. 1, 2, 3, picot on the third one. And then you should have 3 stitches left of this group of 15 here. Go ahead and single crochet in the remaining 3. We do not picot into the last one because we want it to match the first. And now we have, there it is, 4 picots there. And then we're going to repeat what we just did. So again, we're going to, this group right here of 6 from the previous row, we're going to skip the first one. So skip, jump to the next one, and we need to do a single crochet in the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip this last stitch of this group and go ahead and jump over here to this group of 15 and do the same thing that we did here and here. And we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until we get back to our starting point. Alright, so I made it to the end of round 8. And I've come back to where I started. I did this picot and I had 3 single crochets that I did, and here's where I started, and I'm going to end by slip stitching into my first single crochet, and that is it. I'm going to tie this off, and I'm going to hide some of these tails up. So start with this one down here in the middle. Use your yarn needle. We kind of want to sew them in as neatly as possible. I guess that's what we always try to do, isn't it? Okay. And I'm just going to kind of go, you know, sew them in like normal. I don't want that. I don't know if you're not showing, but mine is a bit. Pull it tight so it doesn't show as much. There we go. It's a little better. And then just kind of weave it in like, you know, like you normally would. Back and forth. A couple times. And then if you go back in the opposite direction, it should hold it into place. And then you do the same for the top. So in that top tail. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing these in real quick. Alright, once you're finished, you just kind of stretch it out a bit. Maybe take your single crochets there and maybe even them out there along the chain spaces there. you know, fiddle with it a little bit. Really not much fiddling needed, I guess, but that's it. I hope you enjoy my tutorial. This would make such a beautiful top or something if you made them and then you kind of just connected them as you went along, you know, like made another one and kind of slip stitched it like the picot of the other one to the picot of this one and the picot of this one, you know. Made another one come down and kind of line it up and slip stitch it at the picots. That'd be really pretty. Even a blanket like that would be so pretty, but there it is. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Show me a pic of this on my Facebook page. I'd love to see it. Whatever you make with it, I want to see. All right. Hit that like button and give me a comment below. All right. That always helps me out. Until next time, take care. Bye, guys.